I'm Chad Hoover, and this week we're back in my native state of Louisiana, fishing with the 2019 Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion, Mike Elsey from Indiana.
Get up and put on the coffee. You know the sunlight won't last. Making my way to the country. I'm gonna catch a big old
That is a stud.
Yeah! Oh my God! Booyah!
Good morning, everybody. Today I'm joined by John Hipsher and the team from Kayak and Mike Elsey from Indiana, the 2019 Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion, and we're heading out to fish Lake Caddo.
My name is John Hipsher, and I'm the marketing manager for Kayak and Bonafide Kayaks. We specialize in making USA-made kayak fishing gear, and we make anything from rod holders and fish finder mounts, nets and stakeout poles, really anything to make your time on the water more effective and more efficient.
Did you guys need a visible?
So one of the main lakes for the 2019 KBF National Championship was Lake Caddo, and that's where Matt Elsey was fishing most of the time and applying some similar tactics that we're going to be using today. But it's such a unique area, something I've never fished before. You know, really looking forward to get back in the thicket, and it's also one of the advantages of fishing from a kayak is the ability to get where some of these other boats can't. So I think that gives us kind of that stealthy, low draft tactical advantage and find that bite that some of these other boaters might not be able to get to.
If you're looking for the picture of what bass habitat looks like, Caddo Lake is one of the most iconic bass fisheries in the country, but it can even stump some of the best anglers in the world. If you want to challenge yourself while also having a shot at that fish of a lifetime, come to Shreveport, Bossier City, make the trek over to Caddo Lake as part of your adventure, checking out all of the great fisheries in the Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana area. If you can find shallow trees with good cover in 2 foot of water, then they'll be on the sunny side of it.
Cool.
But the big thing is travel corridors. Get near the ways that they're going to travel, which is through your creek channels, and from there fish the things that look good in proximity to those things. Otherwise, you can just paddle around all day.
Yeah, you can waste an eternity out here flipping every tree.
You see what Mike's doing is he's out there fishing those isolated trees that are all by themselves.
I fished 3 different areas throughout the week. The pattern was the same, and that's fishing these isolated trees. You can see I'm nowhere near an island. I'm out here all by myself. These individual trees, specifically the bigger trees with the bigger bases, were the ones that held the key fish for me for this week. Oh, hang on, I'm gonna bite. Fish on. Now, did you notice how I casted in front of that tree and let the wind blow me past the tree? Uh-oh, she's coming up. And as soon as it started to get hung up on the cypress knees, that's when she hit. Here she comes. I don't need a net on this one. She's hooked good. You come right on in there, just like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a nice fish.
The 2019 Kayak Bass Fishing National Champion, Mike Elsey, won by the largest margin of victory, not only in the national championship, but in any tournament KBF has ever held, by 16 inches. And that's pretty impressive when you consider beating a field of 460 other anglers who are also some of the top anglers in the country. It's just a testament to his skill as an angler, his preparation, and his just genuine tenacity. In fact, Mike caught so many fish, he caught about 5 times his height in inches of fish.
We're out here like 2 days after I was crowned national champion. Sorry. and it still obviously hasn't sunk in yet, but this area here is kind of where I was the last hour of the tournament. I had one 20-inch fish that I caught first thing in the morning, and then 3 16-inchers that I didn't catch until after 11:30, and that was all I had. And I pitched my bait as I was being blown by one of those big trees over there, and I caught another 20-incher. And then from there, I still had 3 fish to get rid of, and I saw some trees all by themselves. And when I got to that last tree, I caught a 21 3/4. And then, like the next 2 trees that I flipped in a row, I caught a 19.5 and a 19.25. So I called 4 of my 5 fish in the last hour of that tournament. Right here where we're about to go through again, and it's just a little emotional because it's all coming back again right now as we speak. So this whole deal is still overwhelming for me. So we're gonna get out here and see if we can't catch one, see what happens.
We'll be right back after these messages. This episode of Kayak Bassin is brought to you by Bonafide Kayaks. Stability, agility, ultimate fishability. Fish USA, America's tackle shop. Deeper, the world's most popular castable fish finder.
So one of the main tactic the anglers were using out here on Caddo this week was a Cinco, rigged in various ways. And today we're throwing a Texas rig Cinco, so it's gonna be weedless and get in and out, and be a little bit easier to tuck back in here to these cypress trees and see if these fish are gonna bite. After the tournament, the cold front kind of came in that last day, and we'll see if that bite's still there, but we'll see what we can do. Keep searching, keep grinding.
We were unbelievably blessed with the weather at this year's national championship. We had a bit of high winds and a little bit of rain on the second day. And after that, it just leveled off. And the day after the national championship, it got really cold. I'm talking overnight lows in the 20s. And then we came back out after even letting it warm up, and it was just flat chilly. And, you know, of course, none of us even brought the gear thinking it was going to be that cold in April in Louisiana, and it was a bit miserable.
The hardest day to fish is not necessarily the day after a cold front, but it's the second day after the cold front. And that's today.
My name is Ryan Jones, and I work with Bonafide and Yaktak. I'm a manufacturer rep. As soon as we got out on the water, weather dropped down, the wind picked up. We thought the bite was basically going to be turning off, so we started heading back in, get over here close to where we launched, and then we've all been able to hook into fish in the last 10-15 minutes.
So it took a little while, but finally got one to bite on that wacky rig Cinco. Kind of switched it up from that couple guys throwing Texas rig, kind of a weightless rig. So went to the wacky rig, and a couple guys got hit pretty quickly. So I'm gonna keep at it, put him back in the water, and see if we can get some more.
So I caught that fish on the Cinco black and blue flake on a Gamakatsu wacky rig, weedless. Just fishing it really nice, easy, really nice and slow. Just taking it on the bottom, basically throwing it right at the base of the tree, and get that bite, let him run with it for a couple of seconds and set the hook.
There's just these two cypress trees right here, and it looked like a nice little channel run through the middle, so tossed it in there. About 2 seconds later, smacked it, and put up a good little fight. So definitely a little bit more what we came for. Definitely a good healthy fish. Definitely growing them good down here. See if we can get a couple more casts in. before it gets dark and see if we can get a couple ones a little bit bigger. Definitely good looking fish though.
My name is Patrick D'Antonio. I'm the manufacturing engineer at Kayak. We're out here trying to chase after some bass, but it's been a slow day, cold and wet. So pickerel is not too bad. Nice. The national championship was an awesome experience. It's awesome to be able to come out here after seeing all those guys catch their fish to get my shot at it. All right.
It's crazy the difference between 2 days, and it has a real big impact on the fish. They have just not been aggressive. Not as aggressive as 461 anglers catching over 7,500 fish. We've come nowhere near that. That might be the most gratifying dink drop I've ever done. We'll be right back with more kayak bass fishing action.
Let's go try and catch some more pickerel.
This episode of Kayak Bassin is brought to you by Yak Attack, Power Pole, Kayak Bass Fishing, Yakima, Lowrance, All right, guys, so we're back out here for day 2. We fished yesterday. They only had a couple hours, so we basically got about a half a day in, and it was a cold one. I mean, we were freezing. This guy had on flip-flops and looked like his toes were going to turn blue, but what a difference a day can make, bro. I mean,
beautiful.
What do you think, man? You want to go catch one?
I think we're gonna get them.
What do you think about this part of the country? Is this not some of the most beautiful paddling?
Oh, it's beautiful. I think it's
unreal.
a kayak angler's dream down here. So really excited to get out there today. Nice warm weather, and I think the conditions are lining up.
Yeah, to go catch us a big old Louisiana backwater bucket mouth. You know, when you're traveling through the Rockies and you see snow-capped mountains, that's indicative of the Rockies. When you travel in the Northeast and you see a maple tree, that's indicative of the Northeast. When you're in Louisiana and you see a cypress tree, that's indicative of Louisiana. I grew up with a cypress tree right out the back window of my papa's house on the bayou, and cypress trees for me are just, they're that comforting, welcoming thing that is symbolic of home.
I grew up all my life fishing. My family's always been outdoorsy people and grew up fishing on a local lake. I started fishing the Bassmaster Opens, began as a co-angler, worked up to coming from the back of the boat to actually fishing in the front of the boat. But then, you know, life gets in the way. That running that kind of stuff is really expensive. Sold my boat and then picked up a kayak. It's really put the fun back into fishing for me since I've got into the kayak bass fishing community. I mean, the camaraderie is really second to none. I'm just completely blown away by it. It's just phenomenal. I love it.
You know, one thing I always talk about is the 60-30-10 rule. Winning a tournament, having success in fishing is about 60% knowledge. It's about 30% preparation and about 10% luck. And if you think of those as 3 buckets, the less preparation you have, the less knowledge you have, the more you have to pour into that luck bucket. The more knowledge and preparation you have, you can dump some out of that luck bucket. One thing that Mike did is he prepared for this thing extensively. He did his research, he put in his time, and then he put in the most important thing, which is the tow factor, that time on the water. So when you combine time on the water with solid research and preparation, it's no wonder that he was successful.
9 or 10 months ago, I started my homework. Started going through articles about this area. And it just so happened that last year's BFL All-American was held over on Cross Lake. And Nick LeBrun won that event. He specifically talked about, if you want to catch big bass on Caddo Lake, all you need to do is just go grab a big old worm and throw it next to the tree and just let it sit. And that's exactly what I did, I was just making sure that I got as close to the base of the trees that I possibly could, and I just let it sit. Beautiful bass right there. It's absolutely gorgeous.
One of my favorite benefits of the Bonafide series is the stability that the catamaran hull creates on these kayaks. This water's cold, I'm not one to get into it, but I feel comfortable and safe enough that I can get up on the edge of this kayak and stand right here and be able to drift and fish even with slightly windy conditions. One of the great benefits of the Bonafides, definitely should check them out.
All right, so let's take a look at my kayak and how I've got it set up. I really like to have a Yak Attack roto grip for holding my paddle in place, and I can just snap it in with my foot. Coming on back, I've got my Elite TI Lowrance unit with a hood from Burley Pro that allows me to see the screen much better. And I've always got my trusty anchor wizard up here that allows me to anchor in pretty much any condition. I've got my Yak Attack Black Pack in the back, outfitted with rod holders to make it easy to store my rods. I've got two Zuka 2 rod holders in the back for horizontal storage. On the back, I've got my Power Pole Micro. I've dropped down to the lightweight 6-foot pole. That way it allows me to go under lower overhanging branches without as much obstruction, and it's just a great way to anchor in these shallow Louisiana flats here at Lake Caddo. So that's my Bonafide SS127 walkthrough with the accessories that I've got it outfitted with. Check out your local Bonafide dealer and get one to outfit for yourself. We'll be right back after these messages. This episode of Kayak Bassin is brought to you by Yak Attack, Power Pole, Deeper, Yakima, Lowrance,
Not a bad one. Really only second one for me today, but the first one, I didn't even want to show anyone it was so small, but that's about the same size as yesterday. Not too bad. Good healthy fish. We'll let this one go back. It's beautiful out today. This place looks really fishy. It looks extremely fishy, so it's one of those, I hadn't put up the numbers like we wanted to today, but I think we got some daylight left.
They're out there, there's just so much water they could be in. Finding all the dinks.
We are finding all the dinks.
Like all of my fish are like, seriously?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to move away from the Cinco. Old trusty confidence bait, but it's not producing the quality of fish we're wanting, so.
I've got friends that could fish the wacky rig Cinco for like an entire season, and it just gets too boring.
No, it's producing some fish, but not the fish, so. I'm gonna paddle back up there.
Let's go get in those trees.
Yup.
You know, when it comes to putting on an event like the National Championship, it's several months worth of work that culminate in a full-on week of on-site. By the time you finish up an event like that, you're exhausted. And so for this trip, it was more about spending time with friends, and it wasn't as much about results. To be honest with you, a lot of it for me was just getting out here and recharging and getting away from the craziness of that event and all the things that go into it. It's been good. I'm looking at my crumb trail on my GPS here, and I think I might have paddled 11 miles today, and I've probably caught 12 or 15 fish, nothing over 2 pounds. And to be honest with you, sometimes it's good to just get out here and play with little lures and toys that we all have as anglers, and just unplug and recharge. And now, if a 9-pounder came along, I wouldn't be against it. I'm just saying. Well, they are definitely eating the Cinco back here in this tannic water. Not much bigger, but getting bigger the further back this creek we go. And we're gonna keep seeing if we can't work our way back in here. Really, all I'm doing is looking for any type of surface movement and I'm just fishing along with a weightless black Senko. Got a 14-pound fluorocarbon leader, and I am fishing it on a Mustad grip pin hook to keep that Senko in place. About the easiest 1, 2, 3 bass fishing you can do. We're gonna work our way a little further up this creek and see if we can't catch some more.
I never fished the same area all 3 days. My first area, I was completely different area of the lake, and in the very center of this place were the same big isolated cypress trees. And the second fish I caught was 19 3/4. I mean, almost touching that 20-inch mark. And so I was trying to manipulate the tail a little bit to make sure that it touched that 20-inch mark, and the fish jumped off and out the boat. There is nothing that makes me more upset than when something like that happens.
You know, sometimes when it comes to fishing, you just have to let it go. He has now won the 2019 Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship, but he still can't let that one fish go. He still can't get it out of his mind.
It still bothers me. I know I'm probably being silly. I just didn't react fast enough, and I mean, one flip and he was gone.
It's a lot like when you look at the sun and you look away and you still see the spots. He still sees that fish because it cost him 4 inches. Mike, let it go.
So I went back to Old Faithful and pulled out the Wacky Rig Senko, kind of the confidence bait for me for this trip. And right after I'd re-rigged about the 10th cast, this sucker hit. Little assistance from the new champ over here. He was able to help me with a little net assistance, and pretty pumped. So definitely what we came for.
Traveled far away to ocean blue and skies of tangerine.
Decided to start targeting the trees out in the center, and ended up coming up with one with a blue and black Senko, Wacky Rig. Not too bad. All right.
Yet I'm holding on to yesterday, and yesterday has flown away.
I won by 16 inches, which is insane. I can't believe it. But I guess it could have been, or it should have been like 20 if I wouldn't have lost that first fish. I promise, that's the last time I talk about that stupid fish.
Ooh, tasty beat right there. Ooh.
Well, John, that's the big bass beat because you got the biggest bass of the day.
Yes.
Big, slaunchy, bug-eyed, fat, just slobbery. That's the best word for it. Just a slobbery bass. Congrats on that. Is that your personal best?
No, it's still top 10 fish for me that I've caught. You know,
Top 10. See, that's how they do it at Yak Attack. Catch a big old cankle-tailed, fat, bug-eyed, just giant mouth. You can stick double fists in, ain't even top 10. You know what I'm saying? The bar is set high with these ones. The force is strong with Yak Attack. So anyway.
But still a great fish, all around great fish, and good to get a taste of what this fishery has to offer.
Anytime you can catch a bass over 20 inches, especially 22 inches, it's a good day. Well, man, thanks for joining me on this episode.
Thanks for
More
having me.
importantly, thanks for y'all's support of kayak bass fishing and the sport in general. So we'll see you guys next time with more kayak bass fishing. Can't always promise a fish that big, but we'll see you next time.